sitting back here and thinking, there's a question that a lot of people ask, and it's not a gardening question. It's the question, how do I write a book? At this point, I've written 5 books, of which 4 have been published, and 2 became bestsellers on Amazon. So, I can talk a little bit about how to write a book at this point. Now, I wrote 4 of my books just this last year, so that's a lot of book writing in 1 year. But I would tell you this, the best way to write a book is to actually start writing. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who have said, I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna write a book one day on my grandpa and the story of how he fought in the war. I'm like, okay, what have you done? Well, I made a few notes. Okay, anything else? No, I'm just too busy. Okay, you're not gonna write the book. Most people are never going to write their books. It's been said that every person has one good book in them. I think that everybody has multiple good books in them if they actually sit down and write them. Now, here's the problem. Some people start behind the 8 ball already. The public school system is terrible. So a lot of people can't actually write to begin with. They make a lot of spelling mistakes. They make a lot of grammatical errors. They can't put a good sentence together. They just simply are unable to communicate the ideas that are in their head properly. In that case, I would say make a YouTube channel or something like that. Get your ideas out there, but you may not want to try and write a book. As for the actual writing of the book, here's what I'd say. Write every day. Write something. If you can't write every day, take 1 day a week off. Take Sunday off. That's what I do. I don't write on Sunday. But, do 6 days a week. But the thing is you have to have a schedule. You have to have a serious schedule where you're going to write. Let's say you just wrote 500 words a day, right? And say you wrote 5 days a week. Every weekday you sit down and you write your 500 words. You should be able to write 500 words in less than an hour easily. I usually clock in between 1,000 and 1,500 words an hour, but I am a professional writer. I wrote radio scripts and advertising before I got into book writing. So say you've got 500 words a day, right? So you do that 5 days a week, 2,500 words a week. You do that for 10 weeks, you've got 25,000 words. You do that for 20 weeks, you've got 50,000 words. There's a book in less than half a year. You're not going to do it if you don't do it, though. You have to write a certain amount a day. Now, here's a problem. People don't write their books for another reason, and that is there's no organization there in place. So say you wrote 500 words a day, but your 500 words were all over the place. You just kind of write what comes to your head, and the organization is terrible. And then you go back and you look at all the stuff that you've written and you say, how in the world could I reorganize that to make sense? Here's what I'd say. First of all, start with a plan for your book. Say I'm going to write a book on root crops, right? I want to write a book on my top 10 favorite root crops. Well, that's easy. I write down my top 10 favorite root crops. And then I say, what is each one of these sections going to talk about, right? I'm going to write about carrots in chapter 2. Chapter 2, carrots, my second favorite root crop, right? So you want to write about what carrots are, the Latin name of carrots, right? Let's just kind of the overview coming into it. Here's what carrots are. Here's why I think they're great. And then from there you say, here's how you grow carrots. And you have the same kind of information in each chapter. What time of year you would be planting carrots, what varieties of carrots you like to grow, places where carrots grow well and don't grow well. Just basic information about carrots, but you kind of make an outline that is about carrots. And you do that with every chapter. And then you might have a conclusion. And then you might have part of the introduction is why root crops. Why root crops are superior to grains. I set out the case for these top 10 root crops because grain agriculture takes up so much more space and it's so much more work. But if you grow roots, it's like this, and this, right? So you kind of think of how would you present the ideas? You make a skeleton for the book. You sit down one afternoon or even over a couple of days, you write out the skeleton for the book. Sometimes this can be easy as taking a big piece of paper and then writing root crops in the middle and then writing every single thing you could write about root crops all around the edges. And then fill in those pieces and figure out how they fit. Root crops that work well as weapons may not fit into the overall book on how to grow root crops or your top 10 favorite root crops, but you could add it as an appendix. So there is that. Here's another tip on writing. If you're not necessarily writing a book, start yourself a blog, a free blog, WordPress, Blogger, whatever, and then start making yourself write something every day, even 200 or 300 words every single day. Write on something you're interested in. Write all over the place. But pick a topic that you think you're somewhat of an expert on and pursue it. Or start as a beginner on a topic you're interested in and then work your way towards being an expert, sharing the story as you go along. People love to see your experiments and see how things work. Say you wanted to learn mathematics. You're going back to school and you're going to go learn math again. And you've finally realized that mathematics are useful and will get you towards that engineering degree that you want. Start sharing notes on why you think this is cool or what equation you learned or whatever else. Other mathematicians will find you or people interested in the field, and they'll see how you went from here to here over time. I'm in a good shape, in a good place because gardening is a topic that a lot of people are interested in, and it doesn't take as much brains as mathematics, so there is that bonus, But for writing a book, consistency, doing it all the time. Becoming a good writer takes writing all the time and not being afraid of editing. Throw your book past 2 or 3 other people, have them edit it, and just do it. Simply do it. Make your skeleton, set yourself a schedule, write a certain amount every day, turn the TV off, write your book instead. If your book is important to you, you can do it in an hour or less a day. You could even do it in 20 minutes a day and just take longer. But you have to do it on a regular basis. So there's my 2 cents on writing books. And from there, let me know what you've written, and I'll send you a link off of my website, which is thesurvivalgardener.com. And you can find my books on Amazon under the pen name David the Good. Grow or Die, The Good Guide to Survival Gardening. Compost Everything, The Good Guide to Extreme Composting. Totally Crazy Easy Florida Gardening, and Create Your Own Florida Food Forest. I wrote those 4 books last year just by the method that I told you now. So get out there, write your book, do it. It's not that hard. One piece at a time.